Today we're going to take the role of Cupid and try to match you up with some great Kickstarter Pickstarters for the week of February 11th, 2019. We're starting off with Millennium Blades Collusion. This is the next big expansion for the Millennium game series. If you don't know, Millennium Blades is a game that's supposed to simulate card games. Not specifically be a card game, but simulate sort of the whole meta, I guess you could say, around it, whether it's buying singles, opening packs, trading, tournaments, that makes this really fun, sort of almost a parody of the whole trading card game and also all these sort of animes that are based off of them. And this expansion does not disappoint there. It'll add a whole bunch of new cards as well as characters who have their own punny relationships to what we expect to see in card games, and including a nice new box of hold cards, because as someone who backed the original, my box is very full. So it is greatly appreciated. They also have a lot of awesome sort of crossover packs. If you're a fan from other games, like Doomtown was one of them that's really awesome. So you can catch up and play with all your favorite other games that way. Like I said, this is a really big game. Sleeving it was a hassle. And I think you recall the standard deck we play. We need a box to hold it because it doesn't stand.
Yeah.
But the game itself is really fun, especially if you ever played a lot of like Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh, because you recognize the tropes they're mocking, and like you have one phase building your collection and selling it and stuff, and the single market, and you can see how things work that. And like one character is like all about the meta, when one's all about collecting and one's all about like selling singles. So it has all these really fun mechanics that way, and because it's level 99, they love to have a whole bunch of different modes. Like they have the arena mode, or playing where characters have much more weird special abilities and stuff. So all kinds of weird stuff like that.
Yeah, I know. The concept is I'm so in love with. It's such a crazy, ambitious monster of a game. The original, I found kind of overwhelming. There's just so much going on. But it sounds like what I'm looking forward to is it sounds like Collusion does some work, they were saying, to streamline some of those aspects of it.
Yeah, this is not a short game. This is
there's just a lot. Like it really gets every aspect of playing a CCG and collecting it into one game. It's kind of intense.
It's I guess a TCG simulator, I guess.
I think that maybe is what they call it too. But yeah, I thought I read something too about now you can split up. Or at least the new cards are in a separate deck, so you don't have just one giant monster.
Yeah, because like it is quite the deck.
So yeah, I hope that it's cool. Yeah, and I know those promos, they're not promos, but the bonus characters and stuff you were talking about are cool.
For Collusion alone, it's $60 with a couple other extra stuff as well. But of course, there's plenty of other pledge levels, whether you're a returning backer or new and maybe want to look at some of the other stuff that was available previously before this Kickstarter. But if you are into any TCGs, this is definitely a game we suggest you take a look at.
Icarus is a brand new storytelling game from Hunters Entertainment in which you as a group will be collectively constructing and following the story of a new city. And you're going to decide what the foundations of your city are together, whether it's based on different components. It could be religion, the politics, the society in general of the city. You're all going to be deciding as a group through different cards that you draw, and as I said, a storytelling game. It's really a role-playing game. There's not really a win or lose aspect. At the end of the game, no matter what happens, your city will fall. The way that this happens is eventually there are going to be different six-sided dice, and you're going to be stacking those dice as the game goes on, literally building the monument in the center of your city, and the game ends when that monument gets too tall and falls down, flying too close to the sun, if you will. Basically, on your turn, you can create aspects for the city, and you can go and try to address those aspects, which involves dice rolling and trying to get certain faces. But the meat of the game is telling the story and describing what you're doing, how you're doing it as you play. There's not really much of a game without that. It really is a storytelling experience. It just seemed like kind of a cool concept, building this city together and having this story you can tell over time and deciding what your characters care about in the city, combined with that dice building thing. You know, we've seen a bunch of role-playing games do stuff with Jenga-esque blocks. So there's something about adding that dexterity element that I like that it's very literal, you know, it brings that an actual tower into your game. It's a cute, kind of gimmicky thing, but I think it sounded like a neat concept.
I think the idea I really liked about this, which they mentioned in their Kickstarter, is the idea of using this almost as a prelude to your other campaign. You can use this sort of show the city, and once it collapses, then everyone plays like a regular D&D game, and you know sort of like the backdrop of what happened with the ruins.
Cool.
And I think that could be a really cool idea. Obviously you have to make sure it matches with whatever your story would go on board, but then that way people sort of get invested not just in their character, but the world that their character could be in, which I think could be a very helpful tool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. All right, check it out if you agree. It is called Icarus, and it goes for $35 on Kickstarter now.
Some of you may just be receiving Aeon's End Legacy. Well, they've got another Kickstarting up in Aeon's End The New Age. This game is from Indie Board and Card, and if you don't know, it's a deck building game, sort of taking place in this world where you are trying to prevent these horrible monsters from coming through. And it has an interesting mechanic where you flip your deck instead of really reshuffling it, so you think about how you actually put stuff in your discard pile. This one actually has a campaign similar to the Legacy style, but this one's designed so it can fit 100% with all your old stuff. There's no writing over cards. The campaign's a little lighter. It's not as connected. It's more so you can choose a levels what you want, but this way there's sort of a little bit for everyone. This goes for about $69. I can't remember how much Legacy goes for in case you're curious about that, but it's sort of a nice little compendium, I think, to go along with. If you were like, I'm not sure about Legacy games because playing with the same people, this one is that way you can still have that campaign feeling maybe and not feel like people need to stay in through all the games.
Is it so this is completely standalone? You don't need the original Aeon's End to play it?
I don't believe so.
I guess for $69, you better not.
But it comes with a whole lot of cards, and I know like they have a chart in case you're curious. They actually compare like Legacy versus this one, and I didn't know this because I didn't do the Legacy Kickstarter, but it said I think 80% of the Legacy game can be mixed with the base though too. So there's a whole lot of stuff there, and of course there's stuff like I think there's a Kickstarter exclusive like rubies or something, some weird zone, but also some other stuff that will be sold in expansion, but you get for free. So a lot of great stuff there. This has been an extremely popular deck building game that unfortunately I have been behind on. So hopefully you won't be like me and you'll make sure to back this project.
Lord of the Chords is a new music game for all you music heads out there. It's a game that actually requires you, kind of, to know about music theory, or it could help you learn it if you don't know so much. As you play, you're going to be collecting different note cards, and your goal is actually to collect enough notes and play them in order to make chords. And you're also going to have to do that making sure that you are using the proper chords for the key that you are currently in. So as you play, you're trying to get these different cards. There are also action cards that can do things. You might be changing the key as the game goes on. You might be swapping cards out, affecting your other players, making sure that they can't complete their chords before you can. And there is a little guide on the cards that will tell you which notes go with what, so you don't need to know about music theory to play it, but perhaps that could help you out. This is one that interested me because I am a fan of music, but I have failed over my few attempts in my life to try to play instruments or learn music theory in general, and it's always just been something that kind of I got lost at or was bored with and never fully followed through with, much to my own shame. So this seems like a cool thing that, I don't know, I thought maybe I could play this and actually learn some amount of what these notes mean and how they work and everything.
I definitely... I used to play a saxophone, but then my child brain was like, let's see, remember this stuff or remember the 151 Pokemon? I went that way.
Priorities.
But this definitely seems cool. I love the action cards are all actually very punny names on musicians.
There is some funny stuff like that if you like those little in-jokes and what have you. You can check it out. It goes for $37. Comes in a very cool case that looks like a little piano. And maybe this will help you out, or someone for a music nerd that you know.
Finally, we're actually going to continue the sort of zine quest theme that's been going on for early on in our Pickstarter from last week. This one with mall kids. In this, you'll actually be playing as kids hanging out in a mall, so probably like 90s and 80s when malls are still relevant. And you will actually only have two real stats you have to worry about. Corporate and anarchy. Those, I don't think they're exact names, but pretty much that's what they mean. Pretty much do you decide to stick more with corporate or be a pure anarchist? And so you have to make choices like, will you ditch your job to go hang out with someone at the mall, or will you cause a food fight in the food court? It sounded like it was simple but very fun, sort of nothing too crazy, just hanging out in the mall. Maybe also if you're a fan of mall rats, you can probably tie some of that in there. It's a simple zine, only $3 for the PDF and like $8 for a book, but it just did sound like something like a simple fun. Once again, like a lot of those zines. Like,
I'm gonna go to Orange Julius and then hit up Hot Topic.
oh man, I don't know the last time I've seen an Orange Julius.
I've actually never been inside one. They're not over here on the East Coast, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think so. I miss them.
Those are our Kickstarter picks this week, but let us know what you are backing. Are you going to be expanding your collection of Millennium Blades or Aeon's End, or maybe jumping into one of these new games like Icarus or Mall Kids, or maybe saving all your money for the inevitable collapse of society so you can live underneath a tunnel or a bridge and, plan for the future, radioactivity, all that kind of stuff.
Maybe combine the Mall Kids and Icarus to show the hubris of malls.
I think that's a perfect solution. Talk to us in the comments below, or get us on Twitter, Facebook, what have you. All those links are in that description there, just for you. Until next week, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Will.
And this was our Kickstarter Pickstarter.
Hey, if you like what you saw, don't forget to subscribe and like this video for more excellent board game content.
Heck yeah!